Why are these Yu-Gi-Oh cards going up? I can't believe this. Why didn't I buy this sooner? Yeah, that's every literal discussion we have on this channel, it feels like. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. So Nightmare Apprentice recently has actually surpassed the $30 mark out here. And the first thing that I hear from people is, I'm quitting this game. This is so... Everybody's going to quit this game over just a card going up in price. Everybody had the chance to get the Nightmare Apprentice Magicians when they were $25. And I know we use that as a very foreboding excuse out here, but you knew as legacy prices went down, more and more things were going to go up in price because price point needs to reevaluate. And everybody honestly was looking at the card at $25 going, yeah, this is too cheap. And I agree with you, 150% on that, actually. I do fully expect and continue to see Nightmare Apprentice hold these decently higher prices because guess what? Illusion is getting support in each and every set kind of going forward here because you guessed it, it is the current supported, new archetype. We don't have Cyber still does exist out here. It's just, they made Cyverse for the anime and, Illusion's kind of our 25th celebration out here, bringing Yu-Gi-Oh back to its roots. So here's the thing. Nightmare Apprentice is going up because not only was it a cheap card, people were willing to spend the money on it because it looked so enticing. And believe it or not, the Chimera Illusion stuff is kind of a fan favorite, actually. The fact that you have these old video game archetype cards back in the day resonating with older players, and people just are like, they look at the card and they're like, well, this is a Rhoda. Like, why would I not want to have a card that literally searches the entire Illusion archetype at my disposal? Like, that just seems like something, especially, if we get more and more support as things are going, yeah, I want to have that. And I understand that. So that's the reason why Nightmare Apprentice has been going up in such very interesting ways. Next up is Mayakashi. Now, for those of you that don't pay attention to this, I feel like there are different buyouts in the Mayakashi sector, at least over the last year. I think we have seen probably 3 different buyouts in Mayakashi cards randomly. And the first major thing that I can think of with this is when you I'm going to point the finger at Master Duel over there because the casual player base sometimes gets excited about something gimmicky, and that's fine. But looking at just the overall state of everything, Mayakashi, it probably is one of the more interesting zombie decks. But to me, this deck doesn't really have anything too crazy or too exciting to truthfully warrant a price going up, except for being essentially generic zombie support, and 2, being a casual player's dream out here, where you can technically Mayakashi lock your opponent as well. I mean, don't even get me started on the transaction rollback stuff with the trap card. We've all seen that, and we all know that that is potential, like, gas for what it is. But when you're looking at the rest of the Mayakashi stuff, all of these random buyouts or the random price spikes that you see with this, I do actually believe a lot of it's got to do with casual player base saw something interesting, or you run into the Mayakashi, broken deck scenario where they just kind of open up the nuts on you. It happens. It's like playing against DDD. The deck will just toss in some of the most random boards. You can just look at this and you're like, oh, so you're the 1/1000th of the chance that I had to play against this. Mayakashi stuff still continues to bewilder me right now. Like I said, the Link 4 has actually surpassed all expectations at the moment, and it continues to rise. Yeah, no expected reprint anytime on that. The Labyrinth hype that has been going on around here as of late. So, we came off of a YCS a little bit ago, where Labyrinth was kind of second place. And a lot of that hype hasn't really... It's still in the room. All right, we've seen Labyrinth cards being repriced and reevaluated out here, and a lot of people genuinely are looking at these cards, and I do think that Labyrinth's not really that good. All right, from my own personal experience here. All right, so yeah, Destructive Daruma can eat a Tenpai board underneath the field spell, because, you force them off of the field, which is pretty good. You have access to Dimensional Barrier, so you can technically hit Branded. Any of these real power cards that you got to deal with in the format, as long as you can find a good, decent scenario, you can do things. Also, the deck has the random RNG hand rip. I've kind of noticed lately, by the way, decks that do the random hand rip away from the opponent kind of feel like they've been a lot worse as of late. Anybody else notice that? I'm pointing the finger at Chimera for the discussion for that one, because like you figured Chimera would be a little bit better than it actually is, but the deck just is so subpar at what you're expecting out here. So overall, for all intents and purposes for this, we're on a lot of Fallout hype from the YCS that Labyrinth did its thing. With that, people just want back row decks to kind of be relevant too. And Labyrinth is a fan favorite theme as well. You got to remember, players want to dedicate time and things to, successful results. And as long as a deck does show some sort of successfulness, players will be drawn to it. And that's a good thing, honestly, but it causes buyouts every single day. Let's talk about Melodius. So I expect the bottom to fall out on this card very, very quickly. This card right here, the fact that this thing is so expensive. We have a Battles of Legends set, we have Rarity Collection too. I highly doubt they're going to put this card in Rarity Collection because it is more of a Battles sort of card. Possibly as an ultra rare, getting an upgrade, which I think a lot of Melodius players would be happy. But the reason why these cards have gone up was because the deck presented itself, believe it or not, as a cheap budget deck in the beginning of its life. People got the chance to look at Melodius and they're like, holy crap, everything in Melodius is cheap, except for first movement solos. And that's where you started to see, we've all seen what happens out here when these low rarity decks end up getting, support and people kind of lose their minds. It was Unchained the last time we saw this. And, you don't have to buy an Unchained Soul Lord Yama and the new support. The newest thing you have, or you just have to go back and get first movement solos, which was the Abomination's Prison. And I guess Ostinato's like $3. But the reason there's so much hype around this deck, and people saw the low rarity that was here. And once again, we look at Japan for those very early results. The minute you see Melodius starting to perform, you're seeing that invisible hand grabbing this stuff off. Now, these cards are up for reprints. 150%. I do fully expect Konami to nuke everything in this deck that remains. First movement solos, for sure, are going to see that huge decline of a reprint. So, while these cards are extremely high right now, 2-3 months down the line, that will not be the case. Also, this does kind of meet the criteria for a OTS reprint as a common. I could see that too, but it should get a reprint. And then Psyframe Beta. I can't believe I'm talking about this. I do want to talk about, also in general here, all of the, the Thunder Roar, the Threatening Roar, all of these anti-Tenpai cards that we were like, holy crap, you want to have these. And okay, so first of all, you got a distinction here you need to clarify between the local level and the competitive level. If you are going to a regional and you're trying to play Psyframe Gear Beta, you're probably going to lose the game. Now, if you're in a locals playing against your Tenpai player, you might be able to pull something off, or, you might be siding betas, and they might be dead cards at the competitive level. All right, that's one big thing you need to look at. Your 15 cards in your side deck is incredibly niche, and sometimes. All right, if you're dedicating things to Tenpai, and you're going to a regional, you might not even play against Tenpai. There are going to be so many decks that you can play in there. Locals, when you're slashing that 300-man field down to 20 to 30, suddenly, having cards for Tenpai, in my opinion, is a lot more viable. So, I think the beta buyout is actually crazy. Same thing with the Swift Scarecrow and all those cards, but Threatening Roar would be the one I would look at out here, kind of going forward. So, yes, the reason why these cards are going up, because people are clutching on to any literal hope that they can have, because, Tenpai going to scare me. Alright, Tenpai Senpai going to absolutely destroy you. That's exactly why you see these really weird niche cards going up in price. I love this game. You guys have a good rest of your day, alright?
Patrons! Thank you! Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.